What's happening, everybody? And welcome to the podcast, In the Black of My Mind. I'm your host, Al Thomas. So just settle in, enjoy the ride with us. I got you. Please do me a favor and go down to the bottom of your screen and hit like, comment, subscribe, and share. I want you all to tell everybody about this podcast. How many bodies? Everybody's. Our guest tonight is a good friend. He's a principal dancer, a choreographer, a master teacher, and an entrepreneur. He's worked with top entertainment industry stars such as Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul, Quincy Jones, and Debbie Allen. He's been featured in iconic music videos and films, including Rhythm Nation 1814 and the wedding dance sequence of the movie Coming to America. He's performed at the Grammy Awards, the Academy Awards, MTV Awards, and he's done all kinds of dope stuff. So I want you all to welcome to the podcast, Jimmy Locust. What's going on, good brother?
What's happening, Al? How you doing?
Man, not as good as you. You're the man. You're the man. Yes, bro. I consider it an honor and a privilege, man, to have you on our podcast.
Well, you're like family. We go way back.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And I appreciate you, bro. So speaking of going way back, let's start from the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Dayton, Ohio. And I was born in, humble beginnings. My dad was a Pentecostal minister. My mom was a devout woman of God, and she was a cosmetologist.
Okay.
And that's where I was born. And, I was brought up in the church. And that, to me, is a good payoff now, because I may not vibe the way the church was back then in its strict morals at that point, but it has carried me through to where I have my own walk with the Lord.
Right.
I know how he wants me to be. So I thank my parents for bringing me up that way.
Yeah, well, you got a good foundation. And it's all about relationship with the Lord as opposed to all
receive.
I'm sorry?
I said I received that.
It's all about relationship, man. Now, you have brothers and sisters?
I do have brothers and sisters. I have 3 brothers. One has passed away, and 3 sisters.
Okay. Where do you fit in all of that?
I'm the baby.
Okay. Are any of them involved in the arts?
No, not really. My sister was she played for the church, but I'm the only artist in the family.
Okay. So you went to school in Dayton, public schools?
I did start in public schools in Dayton, and when I made it to my first year of high school, I started feeling like if I don't get out, I'm not gonna be what I could really be.
Right.
I just knew it. Like I knew it, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that stay in the public school systems in the hood and they get out and they do it. For me, I just knew myself at that time, and I said I want to go to a private school. So my friend, her name is Deborah Burns, she said, Jimmy, I'm going to this school. It's a college prep school in Iowa. And I'm like, wait, Iowa? And it's a small college prep Quaker boarding school. And I begged my mom, and my mom wrote them, and we got a scholarship, and I was able to go there as a sophomore in high school. And I graduated from there.
Okay. Now, that had to have been earth-shattering experience, leaving Dayton and going to Iowa.
It was. I think it was a needed shaking up. I think I was going down the wrong path a little bit in Dayton and not caring much about what was really happening in the world. So I think it was a good shock wake-up call for me, because, I got there and they approach education totally different because we're an environmental school also.
Okay.
So we had to do things like in the prairie, as far as making sure we burn the prairie every 3 years, or we check out all the life that's there. They had animals, where my biology project was ferrying a pig. Like, it
Oh,
was
wow.
crazy stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
my education level catapulted. It catapulted. So I'm so glad I made that decision to go with my friend Deborah, because from that point, I got the shock of the realization when I got there. They were like, you're not at your grade level education wise, because I was messed around in school. And I can't hate on public schools, but I didn't take what was being offered there.
Right.
So I had to deal with that shock of being like, you're at a different grade level than you think you are. And I had to work my way up. And that's when my intelligence level started peaking. Like, that's when I started saying, hey, I need to really be mindful of what I'm doing.
Right. Now, when did you start dancing?
I didn't start dancing until I was a junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I took one ballet class a week. And my senior year, I went to this place we do. His name is Gus Giordano, and they were in Chicago. And the school would go and take their summer intensive. So I went to the summer intensive. I loved it. Like, we danced all day. Like, it was incredible. And little did I know, he was looking for his new company. So after the intensive was over, I went home to Dayton, and we get a phone call 2 weeks later saying, my mom got a call saying your son was, picked to be in Gus Giordano's new company that he's forming, and we want to offer him a contract, and we want him to come out to Chicago ASAP to start working for the next season.
Wow. So this is right after you graduated high school?
Right after high school, I went right into my profession. So I didn't go to college. But my mom, now I was telling you a little bit earlier about the church, the Pentecostal church.
Right.
Pentecostal church don't play.
No, they don't play.
They don't play. So, and my dad was, he passed away when I was 4, but we were still in that Pentecostal vibe. And in those days, you didn't dance. Like, you couldn't dance, you couldn't do nothing.
Right.
So when I went to my mom and I said, Mom, I got a contract. I want to dance. I want to dance. And this is how a mother's love will always go deep for her child. She saw it in me, and she goes, baby, you go on and dance. And she goes, and she went and handled the church. And she said, my son is dancing, and he's going to do it because it's an art form. And they kind of gave her a little bit of fever, a little bit of, like a little fever, gave her a little bit of pushback. And but then when I did Janet Jackson, they were like, oh my God, she's so great. So, it lets you know that my mother, who I asked and I begged, I said, Mom, this is a career. I'm making money right now. And I thank God for my mom for supporting me and saying, baby, you go do that. You go and do it, and you be the best you can be. And a good note, I was with that company, and before my mother died, I invited her. We were dancing in Lima, Ohio. And I invited her to come to this show. And I premiered a new piece that night, and I was given big flowers, when you premiere a piece. But I gave them to my mom. And that was the last time she saw me dance before she passed away.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I just know she's in heaven, along with my dad, looking at me saying, keep the word right and don't stray.
Right. Yeah. My parents were ministers as well. and a non-denominational church, and
Mm-hmm.
very supportive of me playing music. So much so that I had an engagement on a Sunday during church, and I was going to miss church, and
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have a PA system, and my parents told me, "Oh, well, come take the PA system out of the church." And I took the PA system out of the church while service was going on. And so I mean, they were definitely supportive of me playing music and stuff. But that was definitely a blessing. So that was the start of your professional career.
Yes, it was. That was the beginning.
And so you went from Dayton to Ohio, and then excuse me, to Iowa, and then from Iowa to Chicago.
Yes.
So how did you find Chicago?
I love Chicago. Like Chicago, I mean, I was young. I was 18 years old, had my own, had an apartment. So, I was like wilding out in a good way.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
Because it was my first time at having freedom and dancing all day, making money for what I love. It was incredible. So, and you know what? I got to say this, Gus Giordano, who is the one who gave me the job, he knew my situation. He talked to my mom. He knew my mom was concerned. And he kind of was that kind of father figure, I want to say, like making sure, I kept on the right path while I was there.
Right.
And giving me guidelines about how to carry yourself like a gentleman in certain situations. He did give me a lot of, not just dance stuff, but life lessons that I still use today.
Cool. So now, so you're dancing in Chicago. I know you didn't just go from there right into Janet Jackson.
No, I
Okay.
didn't. Well, when I was there, concert work, you don't get a lot of money. Like you make, like once I got in it, I was happy to make what I got because I could live off of it. But
Right.
then I started doing my research on like LA and New York and Broadway shows and hearing about the monies that they make. But it was in my heart that I wanted to have my own company. I wanted, because concert jazz dance is a vibe of its own. So I moved to Minneapolis from Chicago, and I started my own company called Final Stage Dance Company.
Okay.
And we received like several grants. I was doing more not edgy, but kind of edgy concerts, like different. It was different then because I was mixing poetry with music and dance. Like that's when I was kind of getting into my whole, which because you worked with me on shows like that I've done that. But that's where that was birthed. So I had this really different way of doing shows, and I learned a lot about being a company director and choreographing and the strength of what a piece can do to someone else, how they can receive it.
So do you go from Minnesota to
LA.
To LA?
Yes.
Okay.
So I moved to Minnesota. So I was in Minnesota for a minute. And like I said, I was just doing a lot of creating and sharpening my craft, taking ballet class. Like I was a true dancer where I was like, every day I wanted to be in a ballet class. I wanted to go and take a modern class or Horton. But yeah, and so at that time I said, well, I want to move to LA. So I moved to LA and didn't work for a long time. Like it was kind of tough. I was doing like bat mitzvahs and things of that nature. I was, auditioning and dancing well, but I'm a smaller guy. So it just wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. But at some point, I kept auditioning for Paula Abdul. And I would get to the very end and I would get cut. Like some of them were like they're booking 4 girls, 4 guys. So that's going to be partner work. So I would go anyway. But the one that was good for me is when I heard from my agent an all types call. That means they don't know what they're looking for. So that's when I really had the chance. So I was auditioning for Paula, and Paula goes, "Don't give up." She was very cool. She said, "Don't give up." She goes, "I'm doing my music soon. I want you to come and audition for me." And I auditioned for her for Knocked Out, and I got the video. And actually around that time, she did Coming to America, and I got that. Wow. So, and she featured me, and that was kind of my lead into LA. But before Paula, my friend Taja, who went to school with me in Iowa, she had her own album out, and she was discovered by Prince.
Oh, wow.
And she had a top, I want to say, 20 Billboard hit. Her name was Taja Seville, and she did that song Love is Contagious. And Prince produced her, and she had a deal with Sony or whatever, or Paisley, and then went on to Sony. So I danced in her video when that was my first video I did actually in LA. Then, through meetings with her, got hooked up with going to Paula's auditions. And after Paula, it just kind of hit. And that's how LA kind of is like, if you hit the iron at the right time, then everybody's like, "What's that little guy? Let's get that guy. Oh, what's his name?" And I just started working a lot. And then with choreographers like a Debbie Allen or Oda Salid or these people that were iconic and that are still iconic, if they find a good job for you, you're not auditioning anymore. So Debbie Allen, she would call me. I did 2 of the Academy Awards for Miss Debbie Allen. Then she was doing a movie called Pollyanna, where it's about kids. So back then, I looked like 15, 13. I looked young.
Right.
So I was booking all the kid kind of films and videos and commercials. And after that, it just kind of snowballed into going to audition for Janet, which was like crazy, like 3,000 people. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yes, it was nuts. And it was like 6 callbacks. It was crazy, but I didn't care because I loved it so much. I was just happy that I kept getting called back so I could get in the room and dance again. Like, it was like a free dance class to me. But I think the last time we knew, on the 6th callback, they said, she never been there up until that point. But this one, they said, "Well, we want you to go in and do the choreography that you've learned, and then we want you to freestyle." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I open the door and I see her, and I'm like, "Ugh." Oh, no. I kind of panicked and froze, but she gave me a look. She looked right at me, and she was like, it was almost the look of like, "Do your best. You got this. You got this." Wow. And when that music came on, I danced like I've never danced before. And on the freestyle section, I did every trick in the book: jump, turn, boom, leap, bop. And I later found out that I had gotten the job. So
wow,
it was an honor to work with her.
Oh, I know that's right. Wow. So you, I mean, at that juncture, man, you almost the toast of the town and stuff. Everybody knows, who's this guy that's doing this and doing that.
Yes, it's true. And then that kind of segued me into choreographing in Los Angeles. And that's kind of how it works. When you're there, it's kind of like you dance. And as you get older, you're like, I was assisting Mr. Oda Salid. So we did movies with Samuel L. Jackson, Caveman's Ballad, like great movies. He choreographed School Days with Spike Lee. Yeah. Like, he was dope, and he is dope. I just did a project with him like last month. But
out in LA?
No, this project is in Atlanta. Otis is now creative directing this huge project called Damsel. It's a new look on dinner theater. It's amazing. And he brought me in to set a piece on the dancers. So he's doing amazing work. And it just shows you, if you keep your relationship tight with people, then they'll come back and they'll want to work with you again. So I haven't worked with him in 20 years. And he texts me out of the blue, say, Jimmy, yo, I need a number real quick. Can you get to Atlanta? I'm like, bet, I'm on my way. So that's how that kind of, that vibe works.
So how did you come to the East Coast?
Well, okay. So on the West Coast, I was doing like a lot, movies, choreographing. I was on a TV show. I was nominated for an American Choreography Award. Everything was going really well in LA until I was working on with a TV show, and the lady who was the producer, you know, this is where a lot of people make it in LA and why a lot of people leave. Because they want to make you kiss the ring, kiss their butt. And I ain't the one. I am not the one for that, because my God has given me a talent. I don't need to do that. So to make a long story short, this lady, I ain't gonna say her name, but she was producer on this show. And it was for the George Lopez show, because I had done one show, Nikki, then they offered me another show. I had reoccurring roles on the show. I was doing well. And then one day I was doing something for the George Lopez show. And the way it works in TV, at least this one, is you meet with the writers and the directors and everyone. They talk about the script. They tell you kind of what the vibe they like. I go and give them a couple of options, let's say A, B, and C. So then the next day, I'll bring my assistant and my skeleton crew, and we'll show some ideas. They pick an idea, then I go back and put it on the cast or the stars or whatever, because TV moves fast. Like, you have to get it out in a week. So anyway, we get to the place. They picked B. And I'm like, okay, here we go. We get to the place where we're working on it. And this lady goes, we didn't pick that. And I'm like, yes, you did. And I knew it was a power play and a belittlement in front of people. So I said, yeah, you did. You picked B. And then George Lopez said, and I think this made her mad. George Lopez says, yeah, you're right, Jimmy. It is this one. This is the one. This is the one we picked. So I looked at her, and she's the type of person that had people walking behind her with cantaloupe and, where's my thing? She was, this lady was too much. And, you know, I'm a brother, and she wasn't that. So I started feeling when she said, well, you're wrong. And I'm like, no. That's what you did. George just said it. And someone came in my ear and said, Jimmy, just say you'll change it. She can make you a huge star. She can make you if you just do it. I'm like, but I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. And that was when I knew I wasn't going to be a kiss butt and make it in LA and feel horrible about myself if I'm this age now. You know what I mean? Especially as a Black man. Like, I am not trying to do it. So I did this episode, and I gracefully went to the production team. I said, you know, you guys, I'm going to be moving to New York City. And thank you for everything. Because you never want to, because it wasn't everybody. It was just this woman. So I went and let them know. And I moved to New York. And that's what got me to New York. And when I got to New York, I started producing and choreographing and directing shows for like Reebok, Fila, New Balance. Like, those are, back in the day, they would do big industrial shows, 13 dancers, and they would show next season's lines of clothes. So, I mean, I got to create budgets, and I kept a lot of dancers working in New York, and
Wow.
but yeah. Oh, you know what? I skipped one part. After Minneapolis, I went to Atlanta
Oh,
for
okay.
a bit. So
Uh-huh.
I went to Atlanta around the Olympics. So I went to LA and I came back to Atlanta and I did 4 seasons with the Atlanta Hawks dance team for the
Oh, wow.
NBA team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I did that there, same thing. My boss, I couldn't kiss, I did 4 seasons. I was the first one to bring male dancers into an NBA team. I was the one that started that in 1992, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very popular in Atlanta because they loved Janet and all that stuff. So, everything runs its course. It
Right.
served its purpose for me. It was great. And then there, I got to work on the Olympics, the 1996 Olympics, with Mr. Kenny Ortega as one of the associate choreographers.
Okay.
And then I went back to LA, and then I moved to New York and started doing all the bigger jobs, like me producing and choreographing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. And so what brought you to Connecticut?
Well, so when I was in New York, I was up for, that was before Lion King. So I had auditioned in LA for Lion King on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And then they flew me to New York because the choreographer wanted to see me. But unfortunately, I couldn't. I went into the audition, and lets you know that New York doesn't play either.
Right.
So you come from LA, it's like, what's the counter? You're like this, you're kind of this on guy there. So I kind of came in with that wrong attitude. So I went into the audition, and this choreographer is so cool, brother. And he's like a modern dancer. So I came in, I'm like, raised my hand, I'm like, what count is that on? He goes, there's no counts. Just feel the music. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So then I had to check myself because I'm doing what we do in LA. What's the count? Where do I go? What do I do? This is, where's the camera? That's the LA way of doing things.
Right.
In New York, this man was like, take a breath, slow it down, and find what I'm doing. Follow. And I followed, made it through the audition. And unfortunately, because of my stature, I wouldn't be able to carry the big horses and stuff like that. But it was an honor to make it to the end of that audition.
Okay.
So when I had my roommate in New York, she taught in Stanford. And one day she was doing the American Idol tour. So she's like, Jimmy, can you go sub for me in Connecticut? I'm like, Connecticut? That's in a whole nother state. She goes like, no, it's right down the street. It's like 45 minutes. So I went and subbed for her. And at that time I was like, there's grass. Because in New York,
Yeah, right.
you can forget grass. You can, everything, that mindset is crazy. And I was kind of getting over that a little bit. You're getting older.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to chill. I want to start thinking about property and stuff. So came there, subbed for her, and that next year I got a job teaching at that school.
Okay.
And then the rest after that year, I kind of opened my own spot, which I think that's where I met you.
Right.
At Stanford Performing Arts Center with my former partners.
Right.
But yeah, that's how I got to Connecticut.
Okay. Yeah, no, that concrete jungle is something, and I go to the city when there's something happening I want to see, and then as soon as it's over, I'm out. It's not my favorite cup of tea.
Yes, I agree with you. It's just, it's good to know your way around the city like we do.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I had those 4 or 5 years there, but I don't miss it at all.
No.
Because we're close enough, we can go and see a Broadway show, and we can take 45 minutes to get there. So Connecticut is a great place because of that.
And I always wondered, I said, man, as talented as this brother is, what is he doing here in Connecticut? Man? I was like, but you were doing your thing with respect to the teaching in the schools, and you're an entrepreneur, and And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like when I came to Connecticut, my mind started going, are you going to keep relying on your agent to send you out on auditions for a job for you to make your rent? Like,
Right.
that's where either you're a big time choreographer or you're like waiting. And then if you have some type of morals about you, which I do, like my agent was calling me and saying, okay, it's a video, the girl's gonna be in bras and panties and we need it to be really risque on the edge. I'm like, I don't do that. I mean, that's degrading to women. So I'm like, I started stepping into myself more as a statement person. And I'm like, no, I don't want, women have it hard enough.
Right.
I don't want to be a part of that. So my next step was like, hey, let me own a business. So then I'm having regular revenue and I don't have to, and then I can invest in something, I can buy something. So that was the next step for myself.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I worked in higher education for about 35 years. And, so I've been talking to young brothers and sisters, and mentoring a whole bunch of them and, and talking about, some of the ills that come, growing up in the hood and stuff. And, I got a call to do a commercial, to sing and do a little rap on a commercial. All right, cool. That's right up my alley. So the money was going to be good, and and I had to take a day off from work. No, still no problem. So he said, "I'll call you back and I'll give you all the details." All right, cool. So then he calls me back that evening, and all right, and so everything was cool. So, all right, what is the product that we're endorsing? Colt 45. Now, I couldn't do it, man. Right. And the guy was pissed and never called me again. Wow. But it is what it is, man. You gotta stand on something. And here I am telling all these young brothers and sisters that that we need to rise above our situation, and we can't be involved in those kind of things. And how we're being targeted. Our neighborhoods are being targeted with the malt liquor and all of the other things that we're being targeted with. So here I am telling them to avoid these pitfalls, and then I'm going to do a commercial. I couldn't do it, man.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's called integrity.
Yeah.
Like, you have integrity. And, I feel like I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
And there is, don't get me wrong, I do believe there's a lot of people like us out there, but I wish there were more.
Right.
But I totally agree with you on that.
Man. And then the flip side of that is I get it because you got to eat. And some people aren't in a position where they could turn stuff down.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. But as for me and my house, I couldn't do it. And so, you started your own business here, and you're teaching, and you got all these different classes going and stuff. How I was just amazed at watching the way you work and the enthusiasm in the students' eyes. I mean, they're like, it's like they would run through a wall for you. I mean, it's like I'm looking at these kids, man, and they love you, man. That's you don't see that with everybody, because sometimes you see like my daughter had been to a couple of schools before she got with you, and it wasn't really good situations, the other schools and stuff. And so from day one, she was like, yeah, this is it. This is the spot, And then, as I said, watching those kids and watching because there's some really talented kids there, and so watching them and watching how into the craft they were and how they gravitated towards you was definitely encouraging and stuff,
Oh, thank you.
No, man, please. I would tell everybody that would listen about you in the school. And it's like, yo, you need to go see Jimmy. No, leave that school alone. You need to go see Jimmy. I went upstairs and I was telling the wife and Ashley about the podcast so far, and they were bugging out. I was like, oh wow, I can't wait to watch it and stuff. Said did you ask Jimmy what it was like to dance with Janet? No, I didn't. So how was it? What was it like to be a part of that?
Oh my gosh, Al. So it was one of the most positive experiences I've really ever had working with the recording artist of her stature. She's kind and sweet and just takes care of her employees just amazingly. When we did Rhythm Nation, what she wanted to portray is like a group of tight friends that were kind of like a positive gang, let's say. Like we were all like more positive. And so in order to do that, that's why we went through all those callbacks and all these things, because they wanted to find out who would be a good fit for her vision. So once auditioning and making it, the first week you still weren't really in, and I didn't know this because we did one day rehearsal, and then the next day I came in and I'm like, where's that girl Stephanie? They're like, man, she's gone. I'm like, oh shoot. So I started working harder and harder.
Hey, right.
And then 2 days later, 2 more people were gone. So at the end of the first week, when we came in that Monday, she sat us down and said, okay, this is my cast. You are the cast and you are good. I'm like, because and I couldn't hate on her for that because she needed to see who was gelling and who wasn't.
Right.
Because this project was so important to her that she may be soft and nice and, pretty and kind, but she's a businesswoman.
Oh, right.
She knew exactly what she wanted to portray in this project, and nothing was going to stop her with it. So, all the way down to her cast. But, we would be on set. If certain things on the set weren't right, she would look at it and be like, that's not right. Like, she would fix. She had a clear vision. So working with her was a joy. I've never had so much fun shooting from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in my life. It was like, it was a party. Like, that's what we did with Rhythm Nation was 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And we did that for about, I want to say, a week and a half. And it was like going to a party, but you were working. The music sound systems were like, everything was dope. You danced your best because of the way it was set up.
Right.
So she's kind. And then after we did Rhythm Nation, we took a day off. They had to give us a day off for union purposes.
Right.
And then we started shooting days, 8 to 8. So that switchover was tough, but Miss You Much, we started it, and how cool she is that, she gave me the opening line on, Jan, where you been? That whole thing. But she didn't have to do that. Like, that's why her fan base is so big, because she takes the light off of herself and will give it to other people so they can shine.
Wow.
So that experience was one of the best I've ever had. And to be a part of such a monumental, this thing changed the world. And they're still doing 30-year reunions of Rhythm Nation where people come together and they learn the dances. It's like a little following. So the last one I went to was a couple of years ago in Los Angeles, and it was like a lot of the fans, and they wanted to see the people that were originally in it. We took pictures and talked about Janet, and so working with Janet was amazing, and it prepared me to work for her brother.
What was that like?
Now that was a little different.
I'm sure.
That was a little different, but it's
Wow.
cool. Like it was cool. And like I was telling you earlier, you know, a lot of these jobs help mold me into the businessman I am today.
Mhm.
Like I watched Jen and I learned from her, and I took those nuggets of knowledge with me as a business owner and as an entrepreneur myself. Same
Mhm.
thing with Michael. Now, for Michael, I didn't have to audition. I was called in
Mhm.
by the choreographers, Travis Payne and Lavelle Smith. And they said, Michael said, just give me the best people. I don't care where they are, but I want the best people.
Mhm.
And I was honored that they considered me being in that genre of being the best.
Mhm.
So, but getting there, we were told, you know, we would rehearse. We were in New York, rehearsing. And the day he was coming, they were like, okay. Well, before that, we had to sign a confidentiality contract that was
Mhm.
this thick. It was like, it had to be 500 pages of like what we couldn't say. It was
Wow.
crazy.
Mhm.
And then one day we came in and they were giving B12 shots to people. I said, no, you ain't shooting me with nothing. I don't care what y'all doing. Y'all
Wow.
do it. But it was all these different things. And I'm like looking around at, but that was the norm for him.
Mhm.
But when we did finally get there and he was coming, they said, don't look at him when he comes in the room. Don't like ask for pictures. Don't boom, boom. Don't fan out is pretty much what they were saying.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, this is going to be hard because I'm like a fan. Like I'm a fan and it was hard for me with Janet because I'm her fan. Like I still get like, you know, I fan out when I'm
Mhm.
around her, but I try
Mhm.
to be cool and stuff. I try to be cool. But yeah, Michael walked in the room and I'm like, oh my God, there he is. And then he walked from this side and was walking over. And I'm like, is he walking over to my area? This man walked right over to me and he's like, hey, what's your name? No, he goes, hey, didn't you dance with my sister? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And he goes, you're pretty good. And I'm like, thank you. Like I was trying to be cool
Right. Right.
to
Right.
like, thank you. But when he left, to hear a man of that level of artistry saying that I'm good,
Mhm.
I felt like I didn't need to work. And you know, once you have Michael Jackson on your resume, you're good. Like you've done the
Exactly.
top.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
but he's another one that didn't play.
Mhm.
He was like, we ran Dangerous like in rehearsal probably 30 times nonstop
Wow.
with the pyro jacket, the everything. Like we would dance it and we'd go down and finish. He's like, okay, again. And we
Mhm.
have to get reset up. And we did it literally around 30 times. And we were
Wow.
tired.
Oh,
This
I'm sure.
man he didn't play, but he's a perfectionist.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
both of them were absolute joys to work with. Like they changed my life. Like seriously, they changed my life.
Mhm. Yeah. When you're at the apex, you know, does it, where do you go from there?
Yes, it's true. And I think for me in my era of dance, and I feel like, and I, you know some of the younger kids going, oh man, just everybody says that. But I feel my era when I came up was the dope era
Oh,
because that's
definitely.
when videos came out and that's it's just a whole different vibe with music. The music
Yeah.
scene was changing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I was brought up in that era because it keeps our hands like on the pulse of things that's happening even now.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's cool.
Mm. And what also is cool about that is those videos that you were in, those are forever.
Yes, you're
People will
right.
be watching those videos forever. You
It's
know
true. You're
that
right.
forever. It's not like like I've seen some artists that had some okay videos, but if I never see it again in life, I'm good. But every time that video, every time Rhythm Nation comes on, or Dangerous, or any of those Janet or Michael videos come on, if it comes on, I'm watching it.
Right,
You know,
right.
or I mean, like there's a couple of Janet songs. Well, I did one of Michael's songs too, instrumental version, unreleased, but and two of Janet's. But so I'm up watching the videos, listening to the music and stuff, all the time, and it's like as I said, people are going to always watch those videos and stuff. So you're always going to be in people's mind, always, whether it's conscious or unconscious, you're always going to be in people's minds.
I feel you. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean,
No, man.
and I still consider it like I still pinch myself when I say my resume or when I think about things that I've done and choices that I've made. I still pinch myself like you did all this and now I'm able to give it back to the children about how to carry yourself. With my foundation, the Locust Foundation, I'm giving the gift of dance to families that can afford it, or maybe somebody in the household got cancer or something. There's a lot of people that kind of hit hard times. And that's when I formed the Locust Foundation in 2021 to give back to kids. And, also the demographics of my school in Connecticut, we're close to Greenwich, we're in Stamford. And I want all genres of people to mix together. So they won't be shocked when they get out of school and be around the different types of people. And I feel the same way about the other genre that may be from Greenwich or the other ones, that you need to know they're all types of people, all type of personalities. And one thing in my studio, there's a no bullying kind of thing. Like if somebody's called bullying or treating someone bad, it's like, I'll give you a meeting the second time you're out. Like zero tolerance, because our kids went through too much with COVID and we're still trying to get them back, but that was some lasting that was a crazy time.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, but I feel like that's what's happening with me now. I can give to the children, like I can use, hey, I danced with Michael. If the kid is very shy and doesn't want to take dance, and he'll say, did you dance with Michael? I'm like, yeah, I did. And you probably are really good too, or something like that. And this is where also my stature comes into play, because I'm not as like 3-year-olds, little tiny kids that are coming in. I never think about it, but I always realize it because I'm smaller, that it can be dominating with somebody being over you. So my stature helps because I'm not as, it's like I don't throw them off as much. And then I'll get on my knee and then I'll just sit and I'll like talk and kind of play with you, like kind of discuss things with them. So now I'm finding out why God made me the way he made me is to communicate with children of all ages and all types. And for them to be to learn to be inclusive to different types of people. I'm 4'9.5". That's it. So, but you're going to learn to respect me here. So you are going to be seeing maybe other different types of people out in the world. You want to be able to respect them and not make yourself look disrespectful to someone that you should be showing appreciation and love to.
Right. But hey, bro, you may be 4'9.5" in height, but you're a giant.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, man, I'm not just saying it just to be saying it. I'm just being real, man. And like I said, I watched you work, man, and I'm like, I was so impressed, man. I'm like, wow, this brother's incredible.
Well, we did so much creativity together. You would be playing, and I had the kids dancing while you play. I mean, we did some bomb stuff in them shows.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too, man.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, definitely. There's one I have a picture. When I at work, I had a picture on my the background for my computer was the show I'm playing, and there's a sister on either side, and as we're walking out, and I'm playing, and then they go on and do their thing.
Yeah.
That was my picture for years and stuff.
Yes, that was, but we really created some, like, you were open to it. I'm like, yeah, I think I want to have some people come out and you do this, and and that's what collaborative artists do.
Yeah.
You are the top at your craft. You have always been that, in your lane, always growing, but everybody responds to your music and to your singing and to your playing. They respond. And I think us coming together and working as artists together just educated the children even more in the audience.
Right. And thank you for saying that too, man. But yeah, it definitely. I got some rapid fire questions to ask you.
Okay.
What are your hobbies?
Eating sushi.
Is that right?
I love sushi.
Oh man, I think I've probably eaten sushi once since I was in the military before I went to undergraduate school, and I spent a year in Korea, and so I ate a lot of raw seafood over there, and then when I came back over here, it was like, can I get that fried chicken?
Right.
Which I shouldn't read, but that's
Well, I'm a snob. Like, if the sushi rice ain't right, I'm like,
right.
So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm like, I'll go to a place and they'll be like, can we help you? I'm like, hold on a minute, let me just look at your little case. Let me look at the stuff and see if it looks fresh.
Right.
All right, I'm sorry for
no, not at all. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
Well, I think my greatest accomplishment now is knowing Jesus Christ the way I know him right now. That's like the best thing for me, because from him, everything flows.
Right.
So that's my best one, getting reacquainted after being brought up in it, but finding my own, like you were saying earlier, my own relationship with him.
Right. What's on your bucket list?
Ooh, I would love to choreograph a Broadway musical. I would love to do that.
Wow.
I would love to do that.
Man.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see
Broadway
that.
show.
Yeah. What skill would you most like to learn?
I would like to type fast. I really would. I would love to, because I want to write. I'm writing a book, a memoir, and I see people around me like they type and, moving fast. So I wish I could type faster. I like writing, and I like the words come out of my mind so fast, and it doesn't match my typing. So I wish I could type better.
When I was in high school, I had a guidance counselor who told me, you need to take typing. And I'm like, I'm not taking no typing. That's for girls. Okay, so I graduate high school and go into the 9 days after I graduated high school, I went into the Army.
Wow.
I'm going to my first, I would go to basic training first, and then I go to, you go to learn a skill. Well, my skill was administration specialist. I had to learn to type. Now, if you graduate, you could graduate from this school early if you know how to type. I didn't know how to type, so it took me forever to get through the program and stuff. And every job that I've had since then, I've had to type.
Right.
Right. So, and we learned on the old the manual typewriter. So
yes.
Tap. But I got to be fairly proficient, But yeah, it's definitely I can see now. But when I was in high school, I had no vision, so I had no idea that I was going to need anything like that.
Right. It's very important.
Oh, truly. Where's the coolest place you ever traveled to?
Oh, You know, I really liked Brazil.
Oh, wow. That's on my bucket
Brazil,
list.
yeah, Brazil was pretty cool. It was wild, but
Mm.
it was cool.
Hmm.
And I was actually touring with Gus Giordano
Oh,
when
wow.
we went
Hmm.
to Sao Paulo.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I liked Brazil. Um, I think that was a nice one. Yeah, in Japan.
Mm. Mm. What part of Japan?
I went to, I want to say Osaka. Is it Osaka or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
I was in Osaka.
Okay.
And we danced there for some audiences.
Mm.
And then recently I went to Rome, which I'm going to go back
Oh, wow.
because the Vatican City thing is amazing. Like
Mm.
it was, and I paid for a what do you call those people that take you around, a tour, a guide
Uh-huh.
person that got tickets to everything, and we had cars that we were slipping in, and it was the way to
Wow.
do Rome.
Okay,
So
okay.
so it was
Wow.
cool.
Nice, nice. Um, what makes you unique?
Oh, I think what makes me unique is the love that I have in my heart for truly accepting people as they are.
Mm.
I think that people do a lot. Well, for me, this is just for me. I
Hmm.
think that is something that I've been working on and I'm proud of
Mm.
because it's 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 a rare form that we don't see as much. So
Right.
just being acceptable and trying to understand a different POV, a different point of view.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm still working on
Yes.
that. Who is your hero?
My hero. Um, I really want to say Gus Giordano
Mm.
because he is the one, and he passed away, God rest his soul, but
Mm.
he was the one who showed interest in me and didn't make me think of my height of what I was going to have to do with later in my career. This man was like, I ain't caring about your height. I see your art. So let's
Mm.
go. Come on,
Hmm.
let's hit it. And he broke the mold. So by him telling me like I'm okay, I could go and stand in front of Paula or Jan and be like, this is who I am.
Right, right, right.
He did that. He helped me with that by putting that in my brain over the years that I was in his company. Like you know, you are a man that has an art form that's different.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he's my hero.
Mm. Okay, okay. What's the most important decision that you've made to date?
Um, my most important decision. Well, to I don't want to sound too derogatory, but getting rid of my former business partners and going into business for my own self.
Mm.
That
I didn't. I remember. I remember.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
it it
That
was
was
best.
interesting.
Well, the thing is that you know I feel like it served its purpose. I was there for 4 years,
Hmm.
5 years, and I feel like I was going to graduate school for business because you're
Mm.
right, learning. Like I learned about operating agreements, how you do this, payroll, boom. Like I learned a lot,
Hmm.
but I don't like people stealing from me.
Right, right, right,
So that
right.
kind of, and what also let me know I did the right thing. And this is where, as a black man, it burned me a little bit, but the Lord kind of said, turn it around and know that you are blessed. But they were like, well, that's fine. We'll just get another one of you.
Oh, another
I
one of
kid
you.
you, another one of you. And
Mm.
I turned to them because my old self, I was going to go ham.
Mm.
But I just turned to them and I said, good luck with that.
Right,
Good
right,
luck.
right. Yeah,
And
yeah. Not
yeah, but
understanding this is one of one.
yeah, exactly. And
One of
that's
one.
exactly right.
Wow.
So Yeah, I learned a lot, and I learned to stand up for myself,
Right, right,
and that
right.
was intimidating. I was intimidated. I was nervous. It was my first business, and they knew it, and they took
Mm-hmm.
advantage of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going off on a tangent. I
No, no,
apologize.
not at all, not at all. And they went under too, didn't
Oh, they did.
they?
Yeah, they did. They went
Oh
under.
well.
Yes. And the thing is, like I said, I opened up in a hotel. Like my studio opened in a hotel
Mm,
in 2010.
mm-hmm.
And, 2 years there. And then the next thing I know, we had met at where we are right now. I met the owners. It didn't work out right away. But 2 years later, they came knocking on my door and they were like, "Oh, are you still interested?" I'm like, "Oh, so you're back."
Okay.
Okay. So it was a different owner then. Now
Mm,
it's a new person in charge. I have the best landlords that anybody can have that I have right now. Like
right, right.
they will do anything for me. They're just great. So I'm blessed about that.
Mm, mm. And the facility is beautiful too.
Oh yeah, I'm just I got to design it. We gutted the whole place when I got it. We
Mm-hmm.
gutted it, and they told me to put like they gave me these steel pipes or like steel things. They're like, okay, lay out how big you want this room and lay out where you want this to look. And I laid it out. I got to design the space. It
Oh
was
wow.
it was a dream come true. And I
Mm-hmm.
had the money on my own by myself
Mm.
to, well, I got the loan on my own, opposed to having someone lend me the money. I
Right,
was
right,
able to get the money and on my own. So it was my show.
right, right, right.
And I think I will never change from that. I think I will always um, be the only signer on this account,
Mm.
just because if you want to lead, you need to lead the way, for me, the way God wants me to do it, the
Right.
way I was going to be protective for my staff, like my staff, their kids get to take for free.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I like to make it a good, positive community.
Right. Plus, it's your vision,
Yes.
and everybody doesn't necessarily have your vision. It's kind of
That's
interesting because I've been involved in some things, and folks would be around because they felt like they could make some money, but they had no vision and stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they want to do things the way they want to do them, but have not done the research. They haven't done the homework. They haven't, it's not their vision. They don't really understand how it's supposed to go or how it should go, or have done the work to know,
Right. To pay
I,
their dues. They haven't paid their dues
exactly.
to get to where you've done. Like, and I think that's the thing that no one can take from us is our hard work that we put into our artistry.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that nobody can take from us.
Exactly. Exactly. And well, I think that, okay, but that's based on what? On just what you think, or based on, your knowledge of the whatever it is that we're doing, or is it based on the research that you did?
Right, right. You're
Okay.
right.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yes, it's true.
Mm. What's your favorite song?
Who? My favorite song. Man, that's a hard one. So, I mean, my favorite, well, I would say one of my favorite artists, I'll put it in that thing, is Pat Metheny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, like, Pat Metheny has been with me since I was 18 years old,
Wow.
and I put him in several shows, and I went
Oh,
to see
really?
him in concert. I put his music in like a lot of my shows, like over the
Mm-hmm.
years. Like, I'm sure in some of the shows we did together, Pat Metheny was in it. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
like Pat Metheny because I identify with his emotional qualities that he puts out through music. Like,
Mm.
it almost tells its own story, and I just follow the story. So I will say Pat Metheny.
Okay. I was just listening to a podcast. When I go to the gym, I know I don't look like it, but I do go to the gym.
It's good.
uh, but I listen to podcasts when I go to the gym, and I just listened to today's Monday, so Friday I went to the gym. I was listening to a podcast, Questlove Supreme, and I was listening to a podcast, and he was the guest on the podcast.
Pat Metheny was?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, I gotta check that. Is that Questlove with the afro?
Yep. Questlove Supreme is the name of the podcast.
Yeah, he's done some great work too.
He's done some really good things. Yeah. I'm waiting for he's doing a film on Sly Stone. So
really?
Yes, I'm waiting for that one. The one that the film that he did, the concert film was great with I guess it was a concert that was in Brooklyn, and
right.
All those people. Yeah. That
and
was
he
awesome.
didn't he win an Academy for that?
He sure did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was the Slap Fest.
Yes, and that was so unfortunate.
Oh, I know.
It was, and it stole his moment.
It did.
It just was like it was wrong in so many ways. But
so many different ways. Yeah.
But you know what? He's always out. He keeps his, and I don't want to sound a certain way, but his blackness. He wears his pick in the hair. His hair is, I feel like he doesn't change. Like he's not changing for society.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I felt like I had to think about changing for society when I was in LA at that TV station, like at one of those networks. Uh-huh. Like I had to decide, but he's stayed with it where he's showing himself. And I think he's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I definitely appreciate where he's at and what he's doing. The last of the rapid fire questions is this might be the hardest one.
Yeah.
Tell me your life story in one sentence.
Oh my gosh. I will say, a blessed life never ends. I think that's a sentence. Yes, that's a sentence. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, you definitely are blessed and have been a blessing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's just like I said, I gotta give the honor to God. And this, past Easter, I danced at church 3 services.
Wow.
So, and I talked to the pastor about it. And, when you're dancing for the Lord, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do the big jumps and the this and the that, that I used to do 15 years ago. But you can just let him come emote you and move you. And I find myself, when I do that, I feel him and I just worship him through movement. And it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. When I get done, I feel him in me, all over me. And I'm dancing in the spirit. And it's but with the artistry that he blessed when I was a teenager, when he told my mom to tell me I could dance.
Right.
So it goes full circle to me. Mom, he spoke to mom to let mom let me do it because he knew in the future that dance would be a thing in the church. You know what I mean? And so now dance is a normal thing in churches. So if I didn't follow that, I wouldn't have been able to be a vessel to be used right now how he wants to use me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know what? All through the Bible that talks about different folks that would dance
Hmm.
before the Lord and stuff. Was that David
David did.
that
Yep.
danced out of his clothes and stuff? And
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
And I think you were saying, like you were saying earlier, earlier on, I feel like denominations were trying to figure out their way,
right,
and
right,
I think they put laws and all these, things in
right,
place
right,
where I think they were just trying to find their way,
right.
because at the end of the day, it's just getting close to Jesus. That's mainly it.
Mm,
And I feel like, now that's happening. Now you got Christian hip hop, you got
right,
Christian,
right,
nice music that you don't have to hear the derogatory stuff that they're saying in the worldly tracks that, particularly for me, is offensive to me
mm-hmm. Us.
because of my, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's offensive. I can't, I don't allow any of my teachers to be playing. I said, do not play any craziness in my studio.
Right,
I'm
right,
like, you can get a clean version, but I don't want it to even say, even if it's a clean version, I don't want the vocal to be saying something derogatory that these kids may be hearing.
right,
And I talked to some people and they're like, well, they're going to hear it on internet. Their parents probably let them do it. I said, but not here.
right,
This is
right,
a
right.
place that the Lord gave me to run, and it ain't happening.
Right.
So, and I think now the kids feel uncomfortable if somebody says a bad word, because I
As they
made
should.
them. Yes, but you got kids cussing out their parents,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've had to pull parent and child into my room and say to the child, you don't speak to your parent like that in my space. So apologize to her right now. Right now. And the mother is like looking at me and glad, but I'm like, this is your child.
Exactly.
So I feel like my job at the studio has a lot of levels to it, and that's a learning level for the mother to say, maybe don't let your child speak to you like that.
Exactly.
If I see that much in you, then your child should do the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No. You definitely wearing a whole bunch of hats. It's the entrepreneur, the businessman hat. You got to wear the counselor's hat. And that's not just with students. That's with staff as well.
It's true.
You got to wear the musician's hat, because you got to pull up all the music and all. You got to wear the choreographer's hat.
Yeah.
It's just, but by virtue of you being the businessman that you are, you got to do it all.
Right.
If you want it done right, I mean, naturally you have some good people in place that
Right.
you can allow them to let their work shine, but at the same time you got to, in order to make sure that it comes off the way you want it to come off, you got to be hands on.
It's true.
And I've watched quite a few of your of the recitals and stuff, and always just very professional.
Thank you.
I have been to some other recitals where it's like, what, my daughter's in the she's the third one up, and then she doesn't come back up to 27. Okay, so I'll be back. As opposed to, it's like, nah, I'm gonna check this out. I wonder what he's doing next.
Right.
Oh, that was cute. Yeah, well, what's happening? What's coming up next? All right, so I'm there. I'm involved. I'm engaged.
Right.
But like I said, some of these other ones, it's like, oh Lord.
Yeah. And I think you just have to think about your audience. And I think a lot of dance studios and dance owners forget, like a lot of the parents and grandparents, they're like, in their 50s and 60s and older. So they want to hear some good Frank Sinatra or like Branford Marcel. Like they want to hear some good jazz, some maybe good classical. That's why in my classes, I teach them that we're dancing. I'm a jazz dancer, so we're dancing to Nat King Cole. If you don't know who Nat King Cole, we're gonna learn about him today. You know, his daughter Natalie Cole. Like a lot of times, kids don't even know the history of good jazz music.
Right.
So I feel like that is something that I think of when we do have the recital. I want to put those nuggets in where someone's not going to be there wanting to watch a football game, but hear like, Michael Bublé or, Al Jarreau or, George Duke or, cool stuff that we came up with.
Right.
And give it another rebirthing, another life.
Yeah, I was sitting here. I was trying to think of the. There was a piece that my daughter danced with. I'm trying to think. Was it Count Basie?
Count Basie.
I think it was Count Basie.
Mm-hmm.
But that was so classic, man. The piece. I'm like, oh man. So I got the video in my computer and stuff, and so every once in a while I'll pull it up and just watch it and stuff. That's like, that was, and I remember you guys did it, a couple of times, but one time in particular was at the mall.
Yes.
And it really came off nice, and the folks, everybody seemed to enjoy it as well. So,
yeah. Well, I think, again, we were breaking barriers and didn't even know it back then. Like, even the company, your daughter being in the company with me and everybody, like we weren't even aware of what we were really doing in a positive way in our community.
Right.
So she's a part of that. Like, we were doing, I don't know, I just feel like there was so much that I can't take credit for because people that really supported me, like you and your wife and other people that supported my vision. So, and I think that's why I'm at the place I am right now is because of support from people like you. And now it's full circle. Now I'm coming back on your podcast that is, I feel like I love the title In the Black of My Mind. Like, I love that because that's something that we can relate to.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I like that.
Definitely.
Yes.
I used the title. I wrote a piece. Well, I had actually it was an ongoing thing for the newspaper when I was in college and stuff. And so I'm looking at what everybody else is writing, and I'm like, that's not where my head is at. And it's like, well, write your own. And so that's. And so a lot of the stuff I wrote was controversial, and I'm a nonconformist, and
right.
I have to admit it. But that when I was let me go back a little bit. When I was in sixth grade, I had a teacher who called my parents in, and the school counselor, and the principals, and said that I'm a nonconformist and that I refuse to be like everyone else. And as a 6-year-old, I was took offense to that. I mean, what do you mean? I'm a nonconformist, and she said it in a negative way. But now, in retrospect, I am a nonconformist. I'm not like everybody else.
Right.
And and that's not something that you should come at a young person and you shouldn't come at them and make them feel bad about. That's something that should be celebrated.
Exactly.
You're not like everybody else. So maybe what it is that you have to bring to the table is going to be different from the norm, different from what everybody else is doing. And so that, I say that to say that in that respect, you're a nonconformist as well. Because you're not like everybody. And the reason that folks gravitate to you and I want to be supportive of you is because of you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's because of you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man. So listen, I could talk to you forever, but this is I'm monopolizing your time, and then I want people to watch this. If it gets too long, they'll be like, "Oh, it's too long." I don't know. But how can people contact you through social media?
Okay, so my Instagram is I am Jimmy Locust. And my X account is just Jimmy Locust, and Facebook is just my name. Um, and I think that my website is jimmylocust.com, and my foundation, if anybody would like to donate to the Locust Foundation, to all the money goes directly to children in their dance classes. That's the locustfoundation.org, and there's a donate button that you can donate right there. And the locustperformingartscenter.com, where we're going to be taking registrations for next season coming up pretty soon. So that's how you have it.
Oh, good. If any of you all want to take some dance classes, if you have some children or grandchildren that that want to take dance, this is the man to see. This is where you want to go. You want them to go take dance classes. There's no nonsense, and they'll have fun, and they're going to learn, and they're going to come out great dancers and stuff. So this is what you want to do.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate
that.
I
appreciate you. And once again, thanks again for being on the podcast, bro. I really appreciate it.
Well, you and your family to me. Like, you've been with me since I started in Stanford. I mean, and not just a supportive family, but also an artist. We've collaborated on several projects. Right. So that's a meshing that really can't be broken. I'm glad that we're reconnected on another non-conformist thing, which is your podcast, which is going to be great. And anything you need, I got you, man. I got you.
And that same goes for me. Anything I could do, man, just let me know. I'm there.
Okay, got you.
Bro.
All right, my man.
All right, bro. Take care now.
Thank you so much, and I will see you.
Definitely. This has been another episode of In the Black of My Mind podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next week, y'all be blessed.